Support the game, the owners, and anyone who's involved in it. Connections. BattleTech Fiction by Lucien Dacier. Chapter 5. Nadir Jump Point. Sky. Lyran Alliance. 2 April 3075. The raid on Ore had ended just over a month ago. The Shadow Division had loaded up their ships with everything they had seized and lifted off, getting away before the Lyran Guard could rally a counterattack or call in reinforcements. Ending the 20-hour days had been a relief, but even better was the announcement the Shadow Division was headed back to the Protectorate worlds for rest and refit. They were going home. The trip had its own hardships, unfortunately. The waiting during weeks and months of transit was grueling. Eden did her best to pass the time with a regular routine of prayer, exercise, training, and reviewing combat recordings, broken up by the reality-twisting jumps between stars. Whenever she was able, she spent her time in the mech bay, resting alongside her protomech. Even separated from it, she felt more at ease when she was near the machine. The Dobermans were all still covered in scars and patches, with no sign that would change soon. As usual, the Canis Domini were at the bottom of the tech crew's priority list. Even returning to friendly territory, the sight of the Ivleys in this rough state left Eden quietly seething. After a month of coming to the mech bay to see no effort being made at repairs, her patience was wearing thin. She looked around for Raven. As annoying as the man was, in the weeks on planet she'd gotten used to having him around. Yet today he was nowhere to be seen, and the Ivleys clearly needed his attention. At the sound of raised voices, she turned her attention to a technician over by one of the ghouls. He was shouting expletives at an Aztec. Eden watched the exchange with a numb expression. The Aztec was a recent convert from Ore. He was likely unfamiliar with the division's technology and procedures, and was learning them the way all new devotees did. As she watched, the technician picked up a shock prod and rammed it into the Aztec's ribs, making him spasm with the voltage. The mercenary captain had been less than cooperative, but he had made a good example. Now Janos stood in front of the horrified prisoners, while behind him the blood-spattered Tau soldiers were still beating the captain's motionless body. Eden felt herself pushing off of the Ivleys and floating over to the technicians in the 0G of the jump point. She lightly touched down near them, magnets in her boots holding her to the floor.
"Technicians, I need your attention,"
she said without introduction. The tech looked back at her. "In a moment, Acolyte," he said before ramming the shock prod back into the Aztec.
"I need him to work on my machine. Release him."
The tech smirked at her. "All due respect, Acolyte, this man needs to learn the way—"
"Now!"
The edge in Eden's voice left no room for argument. At a thought, she switched her eyes' setting, making it glow red. The tech paled at the display. "Yes, ma'am," he said quickly, saluting her before turning to the Aztec. "You, get up! Your better needs your services." The Aztec took a shaky breath, trying to recover. Eden pointed him towards the Ivleys.
"There, Frail. Catalog the armor damage and prepare for repairs. Clearly the technical staff has been lax in their duties to the Master's servants,"
she said, giving the tech a sideways look that made him go pale again. The Aztec nodded and floated off towards the Ivleys. Eden turned her attention back towards the tech, who quickly began stammering out excuses. "Acolyte, your machine is on the service schedule. I'm just short-handed," he tried to begin. Feeling a tension in her arm, Eden glanced down to see that at some point she had rested her hand on the sidearm at her hip. She took a breath, forcing herself calm.
"Your place is to keep the Master's soldiers ready to deploy at any time. Where is Raven?"
The tech stared at her blankly. "Raven, ma'am?" he asked.
"Tom Raven. He was a mercenary technician we recruited in the Ore system."
The tech shook his head. I'm sorry, Acolyte. I don't have anyone by that name on my team." Eden gave him a narrow-eyed look of irritation.
"I do not have time for excuses, Frail. Raven worked on my protomech every day on ore. You would know who he is.
Acolyte, my apologies, but I really don't know that name. He's not on my roster, he said, paging through his datapad. Eden snatched the datapad out of his hand and scrolled through it herself, seeing the roster of technicians assigned to the Doberman group. The name Raven didn't appear in the list.
He must have been reassigned,
she thought. It would not surprise her if Raven had been pulled away to work on the Mene Domine units without notifying her. That was the regular life of a Canis Domine, getting by on the scraps no one else wanted. Eden's personal passkey opened up the roster for the rest of the Shadow Division. With a few quick swipes of her fingers, she filtered down to just the technical and support staff, and skimmed through the names, still not finding him. He didn't even appear on the list of personnel who had been culled for insubordination or disloyalty. He was simply gone. Acolyte? The technician was asking, now visibly trembling with fear as he saw the storm clouds on her face. Eden slapped the datapad back into his hands.
Get back to work,
she snapped before kicking off the floor and floating down the passages of the dropship. She made her way as quickly as possible to the command center near the prow of the ship. As she approached, the door to the operations room slid open and a bulky Tau trooper floated out, giving Eden a stern look like he had just spotted a bug scuttling on the ground in front of him. Eden slipped around him to float through the door before it could close. The ops room was a cramped space, with adepts and demi-percenters standing in the middle of a sea of displays and equipment, their hands outstretched as they manipulated data feeds and reviewed combat reports. Eden spotted one holo display showing the Canis Domini teams, with pilot data alongside blocks of code. As her gaze fell on the entry for the Ivleys, she looked for any note of an assigned technician. Acolyte, what is the meaning of this? A voice demanded. Eden snapped to attention as Adept Janos approached her, his normally caring expression going hard.
Apologies, but I needed to speak with you about an important matter, Adept,
she answered, bowing her head in deference. With a twitch of his fingers, Janos reduced many of the displays to blank logos. You must follow procedure, Acolyte. You are not authorized for the data shown in this room, and my time is precious. If you need to speak, you will contact me first, and I will allow you to know when to approach. I had thought you knew your place.
Apologies,
Eden repeated.
But this could not wait, nor could I risk using the comm line to contact you. There may be a security breach.
She felt the other adepts tense at her words. Janos kept his composure, save for a slight twitch of his eyebrows. Explain.
There was a technician who worked on my equipment named Tom Raven, yet there is no record of him in the rosters. I fear he may be a mole that infiltrated our unit.
Janos said nothing for a long moment. That is concerning, he said. When did you last see him?
2 days ago, running computer diagnostics.
Though even that was being charitable. Raven had spent the time talking with her as he always did. He never seemed to be actually working.
He was watching me,
she realized.
Getting in my head, making me talk, all without my realizing it.
I charged you with watching the new recruits, Acolyte. If there is an infiltrator, you may have put our whole division in danger, Janos intoned. His voice was resuming its usual soft yet firm timbre, and Eden could see the anger on his face.
I beg forgiveness,
Eden replied, lowering her head in supplication. One step at a time. I will need to contact the Placenta and lock down the ships. This matter demands investigation.
I will be ready to defend us if need be,
Eden said quickly. You have other duties, he said sternly. Return to your quarters and pray for clarity. I must make my preparations here, and then I will come to you. I want to hear everything you can tell me about this Raven. End Chapter 5. Thanks for listening. This story was originally published in Magistracy Monthly. It's a BattleTech fanzine organized by the very talented Riley Centrella. I'm going to leave a link in the description, and I encourage you to check it out. Links to all the art used is in the description. Special thanks to Real Mech is Love and Oswald for their contributions, and also to Oswald for making 3D printable models of both the Ivlease and Eden available on his Cults page. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe if you think I earned it. Thanks again.